the day before he takes the oath of office yet again, because it seems like people are actually hopeful. There's optimism in the air about a second Trump term. What is up, people of the internet? It is me, Real American, back in with a new video, and I hope everyone is having a great day. I'm having a great day myself, and before I get into it, don't forget to like, subscribe, share with your friends, and of course, join the channel today. These are all great ways to support the daily content, but enough of the promotional stuff. Let us get into it, because we are in the final day of the Biden presidency, and that means we are 1 day away from Donald Trump taking the oath of office yet again. And I want to talk about how people are feeling about Trump the day before he takes the oath of office yet again, because it seems like people are actually hopeful. There's optimism in the air about a second Trump term. Now, I want to be clear that I'm not saying that Trump's going to be the most popular person ever. I'm not going to say that whatsoever. But it does seem like there is hope, optimism, whatever you want to call it, in the air. And well, look at this poll from CBS that was just conducted 2 to 3 days ago. This wasn't from 5 months ago. This is from just a couple days ago. And right now, 60% of Americans are saying they're optimistic about the next 4 years with Donald Trump. Which is crazy, because it's the year 2025. You know how difficult it is for 60% of Americans to agree on basically anything. Like, it happens here and there for certain things, but on a lot of issues, America's very divided. Like, it is a 50-50 country. That's the reality of it right now. It's very divided, very partisan. It's not 2001 where, oh, it wasn't as divided as it is now. It is a very divided country. And on top of that, we're talking about Donald Trump. We're not talking about some random politician. Donald Trump has been polarizing for years. You either love the guy or you hate his guts. But despite that, people are saying, yes, we are optimistic about Donald Trump. We have hope again. There is hope in the air that with the next 4 years, maybe Trump can turn this country around. And you look at who is saying they're optimistic. Look at this. Young people are the most optimistic demographic with Trump. Yeah, not old voters, not white voters, young voters in general, not just young white voters, just young voters as a whole are the most optimistic group. And I mean, that's just crazy to say. 67% of those that are 18 to 29 years old, they're saying, we are optimistic. We have hope again. There is something happening with Trump. We have optimism for the first time, for many people, for the first time in their lives. Because in the last 20 years, it's been such a disaster. And outside of the 4 years with Trump, it's been such a mess. And now for the first time for these people ever, there's actual optimism. There is hope for the first time in a while for these young people. And look at the demographic of the age groups that is the least optimistic. Old people. Yeah, old people are the most pessimistic age group. And by a wide margin. I mean, every other age group, at least 60% are saying they are optimistic. But those above the ages of 65, well, they're saying they're 50-50. Half are saying they're optimistic. The other half are saying they're pessimistic. Yeah. This is the age group that everyone's been saying for years has been trending to the left. And it's clear that, yeah, even to this day, even with a poll like this, they're the only demographic saying, yeah, we are pessimistic for the next 4 years. Every other demographic is saying, hell yeah, Trump is back. We're getting 4 years of Trump. America's back. Every other demographic is saying that, except old people. They're the only group that is saying they're pessimistic. And I guess you could include black voters as well, but basically they're the same number. They're both 50-50, which is just crazy, because you would think old people would be way more conservative, way more Republican than just the black demographic. But in this poll, they're basically the same, which should tell you that there is a realignment happening. Even in polls like this, it's clear. younger people are shifting to the right. They are getting sick and tired of the Democrat Party, of the left. They're realizing these people suck. They hate us. We gotta vote for the Republican Party. They may not be the best, but at least you have someone like Trump that actually gives a crap about people. He actually wants to try to make America great again. The left, they don't care. And the reverse is happening with old people. The senior vote in recent years has clearly moved to the left, but I would argue that's not really because senior voters are magically all shifting their votes from Republican to Democrat. Like, there's some of that here and there, but I would argue it's because these are not the same senior voters as they were 15 years ago. That's just a fact. I mean, guys, when you get older, you eventually die. That's just a fact. And these senior voters, they're not the same ones from 20 years ago, hell, let alone 5 years ago. A bunch of these voters that were lifelong Republicans, guess what? They're gone. They're dead. Or they just don't vote anymore. But now these senior voters, they're the boomer generation. So you've replaced the silent generation, which was very conservative, it was fairly Republican, with boomers. And the boomer generation, they are far more Democrat than prior groups were. That's just a fact, and that explains why the senior vote now is shifting to the left, and I would argue that's not good for Dems. I mean, every other age demographic, young people, those that are middle-aged, all of them, they're shifting heavy to the right. But the only demographic that Democrats have now, according to this poll based on age, are old people. That's not sustainable. It's really only one generation. It's boomers. And well, reality is, a lot of these boomers in the next 20 years or so, they're going to start dying off. And they're the only demographic that, at least with the age groups, that Democrats have a good foothold with. Every other demographic, they're shifting heavy to the right. That is a disaster in the making for Dems, but we shall see what happens in 20 years. I mean, it's very difficult to speculate what's going to happen in 20 years, but either way, they're the only demographic of the age groups to say, we are pessimistic, we don't like Trump, we are not optimistic. Every other demographic, including women, and even, black voters are 50-50. Yeah, the black vote, which shifted to the right, that's true, but is still fairly Democrat, is roughly in line with the senior vote, which is just crazy because even in 2024, yeah, the old vote did shift slightly to the left and the black vote did shift to the right. It was still, the senior vote was way more conservative, way more Republican. But according to this poll, African-American voters are saying they are actually optimistic, which is fascinating. But you look at the rest of this poll and it becomes apparent that the only demographic that are saying they're pessimistic are the old, white, resist liberal. That's the only demographic that are saying they're pessimistic. And in every other group, of course, you got Hispanic voters are saying they're pessimistic. But even then, Hispanic voters, 61% are saying they are optimistic. White voters, slightly more, 63%. So in general, every group is saying they're optimistic except the Democrat voter bloc, which you could argue is really just to resist liberals. These are the only people that are pessimistic with Trump. But everyone else is saying, yeah, we are optimistic, we're hopeful, there is hope again. And it's not just a single poll. Look at this. This is a poll from Jail Partners where they ask people, okay, describe Trump's deportation policy in one word. And the word that was said the most was good. And second most was roughly great or sad. But it's clear that even on issues like mass deportations, which 10 years ago was super unpopular, now the average voter is saying good. That's a good thing that we're doing these mass deportations. We gotta fix this issue now. And people are supporting what Trump is pushing. It's not just these polls either. We've talked a lot about favorability, and well, Trump's favorability right now, despite some very shitty polls like from Reuters, which is the only poll, by the way, Reuters was the only one to mysteriously find Trump in the low 40s. Everyone else, either the mid 40s or hell, even a majority, are saying they have a favorable opinion of Trump. Despite that, though, Trump's favorability is the best it's ever been. The last month or so, it's been either +1, which is for a couple days, or it's been barely negative. This has never happened, even at his most popular point in his first term, actually before his first term, it was still -4. And in 2022, it was still -3. Right now, Trump is the most popular he has ever been. This doesn't happen. Like, this is Trump we're talking about. It is so difficult for people to suddenly say, yeah, you know what? Trump's actually a good guy. We support him, because he's so polarizing. You would think this number, which it has been very stable for years now, you don't think would change that much, but ever since, like, the beginning of June, his numbers have gone up and up and up. And there's a chance, if you get rid of some of these shitty polls in the average, there's a chance that right now, he has a majority favorable opinion, which if that's the case, that has never happened, at least not for a sustained amount of time. But right now, it is clear Trump is the most popular he has ever been. And in fact, he's getting even more popular as we get closer to his second term. People are optimistic. They're hopeful. They support his agenda. They support mass deportations. They're finally saying, you know what? I have a somewhat favorable opinion of Donald Trump. I never liked the guy beforehand, but you know what? He was right. He was a good president. Let's give him a real shot the second time. Now, does this mean that Trump's going to end up with some record high favorability rating? Of course not. It's so unlikely for Trump to crack even like 55%. It's possible. But if Trump could just stay roughly the same in favorability, which again, favorability is not the same as approval. His approval every year, every day, has always been more higher than favorable opinion, because guess what? People don't like Trump on the personal level, but on policy, they approve of his job. They approve of Trump's agenda. They support his policy. His personality is a turnoff for a bunch of people. But in general, if Trump's favorability is roughly 50-50, his approval could be in the mid to high 50s. And if that happens, well, that would be crazy, because we're not talking about Obama in 2009 where he had the Great Recession and everyone rallied around him. No, this is Trump. This is Donald Trump, who is very polarizing, but now is becoming the most popular he's ever been. So we got to see what happens. A lot could change, but in the final day of Biden's presidency, right now, Trump is the most popular he's ever been. And we shall see what happens tomorrow. We shall see what happens the next week. His numbers probably will go up. There always is a honeymoon period where it goes up for a little bit. But if it skyrockets because people are realizing that, oh, wait a minute, Trump's agenda is actually a good thing, hey, I mean, it's unlikely, but with the numbers we're looking at, it's entirely possible, because people are saying they're optimistic again. They're hopeful. And if they're saying that now, that maybe gives them an opportunity to say, yeah, you know what? Trump was right. He's a good president. He's doing everything he can. I have a favorable opinion of Donald Trump. But anyways, folks, thank you so much for watching. If you guys did enjoy, smash the like button down below, subscribe, share with your friends, hit that little bell. Follow the social media accounts in the description down below, and of course, join the channel today. Godspeed to all of you.